Well, we will go ahead and get started on my section.
You don't remember for sure.
I'm not going to preach. Kyle's already done that. Let me introduce myself. My name's Dana Blair. I'm Director of Cybersecurity for a boutique consultancy. Kind of a fish out of water here, but that's okay. I don't mind, if you don't mind. I'm a public representative on the commission. I do have a seminary degree from Metro Atlanta Seminary, so in 2019. I would like this to be a dialogue, if we can make it that way. So if you have any questions, and I can answer just about any technology question you can ask. Now, I won't go all those places. This is a very simple presentation about some very simple, straightforward things that you should be doing at your institutions. It's based on, let me get this going. What I'm talking about is based on a standard, Shakaruski. The SOC 2 standard, which, by the way, comes from your accountants. So someday, if you get big enough, your accountant might ask you to be SOC 2 compliant. So now you'll know what they're talking about. Or maybe they've already brought it up, I don't know. But this standard is driven by the accounting industry. And it is a compliance standard for service organization. Just ignore that. And it's a compliance standard for any organization that wants to secure the information that they're managing. This is really crazy complicated. So you can go to this website, and it's very much driven by funding, revenue for accountants and auditors and all that. So it's hard to actually find the details unless you're paying for it. So even if you go to the public website, it's still a little obscure. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the basics. And this is not, a wow, pizzazz sort of presentation. I don't do that. This is,
Not when it starts with a
yeah. This is, very practical, pragmatic. And SOC 2 is basically the lowest level of compliance from a information security or cybersecurity perspective. Realistically, every organization should be SOC 2 compliant. So what does that mean? First of all, I'm not expecting you guys to be SOC 2 compliant. I'm only mentioning that as the basis for what I'm talking about, all right? There's 4 things that every computer should be doing in your organization. You should have a screen lock with a password. Every person who is operating within your institution should have a screen lock turned on their computer with a password, with some 30-minute, 1 hour timeout or something. So if they walk away and you walk by their computer, they just see the screen lock because they can't just come in and start poking around. That's how people that are wandering around in your building, if you don't have that, you walk away from your computer, they walk up to your computer, and they start typing, they find what they need to go, and they go away, and you never know they were there. Okay, so you need that. You should have disk encryption enabled. Okay, all Windows, I'm a Mac user, have disk encryption capability. Here's the downside. First of all, it's password protected. If you lose the key when you encrypt the disk, you can't recover the data. That's a good thing. But don't lose the key. And the key will print on the screen and it's a long key. You won't be able to remember it. Take a screenshot. Learn how to take screenshots. Okay, I use a program called Snagit. But screenshots are built in. Snagit just makes it easier when I'm building training and presentate. All these things are Snagit screenshots. But that's one I use. Learn how to do screenshot. Screenshot the key, print it out, put it in a lockbox. So that if you do have an issue or someone else needs to recover it in the organization, they can. Okay. But all your disks should be encrypted so that if your computer is stolen, then the data is just not there for anybody to just go access it. And the disk encryption methods are really good. Everyone should be using these are the third thing. Everyone should be using a password management application. Okay? Don't put it in your notepad. Okay? Don't write it down on a piece of paper and fold it up in your computer. Don't put it in your desk drawer. Okay? There's a lot of these out. Mac comes with keychain. All browsers explore. You probably already know this, but all browsers have password encryption built in. So when your browser says, "Do you want me to remember this password?" say yes. And then you can go through the browser and find the password. That's what I do. I forgot this password, but I know I can automatically log in. I just go to my password settings and put in my screen lock password, and suddenly all of my passwords show up. Or use a password application. The browsers only do that for websites. They don't do it for anything else. We could all get into passwords. Don't do password for password. Don't do the company name for password. We all know that. So I'm not going to get into how you write a password. And then finally, antivirus. Now, Mac comes with XProtect. That's why Mac is great. It's been that great for ages. Very few viral attacks have been successful on Macs because it's been built in for at least 10 years now. But Windows, there's a free one called Malwarebytes and the Microsoft Defender. Those are two. But anyone who works in your organization who has access to the information needs to do these four things. And you should go back to wherever you are going back, and on Monday you should start doing this yourself if you're not, so that you know how to do it, and then you need to tell everyone that you see in the office to do it, and then you need to tell your students to do it. Okay? If you want to pay for things, there are online applications or cloud applications that will track this for you and verify. And they're not super expensive, but I'm not here to pitch that. I'm just trying to tell you should be doing these. The other thing is, let's just talk about a few other things. Wi-Fi. Make sure if you ever get on Wi-Fi, you have to put a password in. Don't do this open stuff. Open Wi-Fi, where it says you don't need to put a password. Or use your phone hotspot. Now, my company pays for my hotspot data, so I don't have to think about it. But if, that's the most secure method for you to get on Wi-Fi from your laptop is your phone hotspot, assuming it's fast enough and you have a good data plan. And then you should all be backing up your computers so that if you do get ransomwared, you don't have to pay to get your data. You just say, go away, you go back a week, and you start over. They're depending on the inability to go back in time, or a critical business. A week is that's millions of dollars. So going back in time is a big deal for them. So make sure you're doing backups. Mac has Time Machine built into it. So that's that. But you should be doing backups. I'm not here to tell you how to do them because I only got 30 minutes. But you should be doing. So this is the short list. Okay, if you get all these done routinely, come back to me. I'll give you a little bit longer list. All right. Phishing. These are two attacks. I got one from my son got the top one, and my CEO got the bottom one. These are real phishing emails. Unsolicited email, it looks familiar. This is the website that manages my personal, I have a LLC with some rental properties. This is the website that manages that. They know that. Everything looks great. It says your email account's about to go away. Oh, panic. My son sends this to me. I said, yeah, don't do anything. Don't click it. Don't forward it. Don't open it. So when you're looking at your email, right, you see the banner on the heading on the left, and it's open on the right. Right? Don't click it and open it on its own. It's just giving you a preview of it. When you click it, things happen. Even the email. You click it, things happen, and it may send the originator something that says you clicked something, even if you don't click the link. Now, how do I know this is bad? Well, first of all, if this company is going to cancel my account in 2 days, then I need to change companies anyway. Okay, because I've been with them for 10 or 15 years. So that gives the one thing away. They do have my domain name correct. They got my son's Shelby at blairhome.com correct. Everything looks good. Except when I highlight this link in the middle, you see that the red box there, sign into my account to upgrade. If you right mouse click on that, it'll show you the link that it would actually go to without going to the link, and it's garbage. So that's how you know it's bad, this one. Again, don't click it, don't forward it, don't open it. Take a screenshot of it, okay? And then forward the screenshot around to others in your company or your institution, whatever you, and let them know, hey, there's this phishing thing going on. Keep an eye on it. Now let's look at the bottom one here. This one went to my CEO. It sounds like it came from my CEO. Kenneth Fee is my CEO. Are you in the office? Well, okay, CEO, we're all working remotely these days, so it's a reasonable looking email. He actually fell for it. My CFO fell for it. My boss, who's the CTO, he didn't fall for it. Now, nothing serious happened, but how do I know this is bad? It's got no subject. Okay, well, an email without a subject is useless. So you always get that warning when you send one without a subject. That's just a mistake on the part of the sender, though. They're just stupid. They should have put a subject in there. Look at the Gmail account there. It's a garbage account. But it's got my name, my boss's name, my CEO's name on it. And it's got my name, so they know my email. They know my company. Well, they can find that on the internet. No big deal. The thing is, they craft the email so that the name in the email that comes to you looks real, but the actual origin email that you would reply to is the garbage email. So how do you find this? You have to look at the header, which is what we're doing here. So, you can hover over the header and it'll pop up that, or if you do your settings right, it'll always display this way. Again, don't click it, don't open it or forward it, just take a screenshot of it. I don't even delete these emails. I don't want anything. I might move it to a junk folder, but if you look at my email, it looks like I have 2,000 unopened emails. Well, that's not true. I just don't move things around because I don't want someone to even notice. I know how the software works, so I don't want anything to get back to this person. Now, they clicked it. They said, oh, yeah, I'm in the office, drop by my cube. Didn't give anything personal away. Immediately they get a response and it starts asking for personal information. Okay, and so this is all automated. There's no human being behind this. There's no human being creating the account. There's no human being sending the email. There's no human being responding to the email that if you click it. So there's this, it's all software behind the scenes. And at some point a human looks at it and go, oh, we caught someone. Now, they did catch someone in Las Vegas. The MGM Grand, using a password reset technique, but it was a phishing technique bought with email. So we'll talk about this for a little bit. This is about a phone call to change a password. So they called the help. By the way, this costs millions of dollars a day. I think Bally's paid the ransom and MGM did not. They don't really tell you what they do because of all the insurance involved, the legalism of getting sued and all this stuff. It's really hard to figure out what's actually happening, but if you read between the lines, you can figure out what's going on. So somebody called in to the help desk and said, oh, I don't remember my password. Can I change it? And they were smart enough, they talked this $15 an hour help desk person to reset the password for the Okta administrator account. Okay. And so at that point, they have back-end access to all the Okta stuff, and they just ransomwared the whole thing, and slot machines weren't paying out, and you couldn't turn in your chips and get cash, and which is not such a bad thing, but but there's a lot of money flowing there, so that's why. So why do I bring this up? Okay, if someone calls you and asks you to change their email or their password, just think about, how am I going to know who the person is on the other end of the call? You can't rely on their voice because that's already been compromised. So there is technology that can mimic the voice of your children, your wife, someone familiar to you. So they call and this voice is on the other end of the phone. They're panicked or they need something to happen fast and it sounds very familiar. And your brain just turns off and your emotions kick in. And suddenly you're giving away things or resetting things or sending cash or who knows what. Just be prepared. I mean, if you get a phone call, I've gotten these my grandfather gets my phone calls that says my son, Shelby, is in prison or has been arrested, and so they need to send money. And then my dad calls me and says, is Shelby in jail? And I'm like, no, Dad, he's not in jail. But now, they just use his name. Now they can actually sound like Shelby. Okay. So I don't know how to answer this question. You need to think about it. If someone calls your admin or whoever's sitting at the front desk of your institution and says, reset my password, how do you know who that person is that's calling? Any password reset should use the online, if it's usually for a cloud service, like y'all use Populi or whatever. There's a self-service reset method. I've got an example here with Google Cloud. I forgot my password. You click the forgot password. That's how you reset passwords. You don't go and manipulate stuff on the back end. Very rarely, and only if you've truly confirmed the identity. And this is the quote from the casino, I don't know, CEO or operator. I think our biggest challenge was, and this is something I learned the hard way, was the password reset. So, that's a social engineering phishing technique, is to do the password reset. So just be prepared for that. All right, what else? Internet security. Everyone should have multi-factor turned on. It comes on by default for things now, but a lot of things don't. And the two biggest applications for that are Google Authenticator and Microsoft. So now if you go to a website, you can log in with Google, you can log in with your Microsoft credentials, your Apple credentials, your Facebook. You see all those options. That's what this is about, okay? Store files in the cloud. So we did work with one. WRS, all their files were in a cabinet. They hadn't moved into the cloud, which is fine. It's very secure. Keep a lock on the cabinet. But it doesn't scale, okay? That doesn't scale. So mount the drive locally, but store everything in the cloud. So if you're disconnected, you can still find everything locally, but when you save it or retrieve it, it's all trust Google and Microsoft to keep your data secure. They're much better at it than you. So use your cloud services for storing data. If you need to send and receive large files, I don't know, you might do that with videos and stuff. Just put it in the cloud and give them a public link to it so they can download it. Don't pass it around in the thumb drive. Okay, get rid of thumb drives. I'm sure you all know that. And then just a few more things about internet. If you ever see this, don't click through it. This is actually there's a website called badssl.com. It's in the header here. That has all the examples of unsecure websites. If you ever get a link like this, do not click through it. Don't do anything. It's HTTPS, never HTTP. So this will fall back to unsecured. If this is your website, talk to your administrator because it's broken. Certificates expire. And when they expire, then you get this. Don't tell somebody, oh, the certificate expired. Just go ahead and click through it. Because this is how man-in-the-middle attacks occur. So that someone on the internet can intercept this traffic and copy it, inspect it, it's in the clear, and you never know that that's been done. You wouldn't even know it's happening. I showed this to my son, Shelby. I've got 3 kids. I keep talking about Shelby, but he's the one with grandkids, so he gets the most attention. The other 2 are working on it. They're married. My middle son, we're starting to really get to him and his wife. They need some grandkids. They need at least 3. I showed this to him, and he said, "Oh, I've clicked through the HTTP, with this." And it's like, yeah, don't do that, Shelby. Okay, that's it for the talk. Just simple stuff that you may already know. Maybe I'm just reinforcing things. Definitely on that first slide, you should be doing the first 4 things, everyone in your group, and the last 2 as well. And get familiar with how to recognize a phish email. And right mouse click is your friend because it will actually show you things there without doing them. Okay? Hover over the email. Get familiar with that yourself, and then you can teach or show others in the group how to do that. If you try to do this remotely, it's kind of hard. Get familiar with it yourself and then sit next to someone and say, oh, that's a phishing. I think that's phishing. Let's hover over the email and see what it looks like. Let's right mouse click the link and see what it looks like. All right, any questions?
Do you advise against putting everything in the cloud,
I think you should put everything in the cloud.
but not have it in both places? Like,
Well, you have it in the cloud and then you mount it locally. Like OneDrive, I can store things in my OneDrive and then I can mount, it's called mount, locally the OneDrive, and it keeps a copy of everything on my laptop.
does Google Drive do that also?
Google Drive does that, yeah. iCloud and Apple does that. And so then they're handling the security and the storage and all that, but it's still accessible on your laptop when you're not connected to the internet.
But that's the real vulnerability then at that point. If Google's got it locked down, that's the most vulnerable point is what's on.
Yeah, and that's why you need to have your hard drive encrypted. Because they're handling it all up in the cloud data center, but if you have a copy locally, even though it's OneDrive copied, your hard drive needs to be encrypted so that if someone steals your laptop, they can't see it.
And then, can you speak to any, like, security of the learning management systems? Some of us use Popularly, I don't know what everybody uses, but
I
there's
can't.
a lot of data in there.
I can't speak to the individual. I don't use those applications.
What should we be looking for?
Any cloud provider should be multi-factor. The data should be, very reliably accessed. They should be encrypting it. I would assume they are. They should have something, a statement on their website, shock, that explains the GPDR. That's another phrase. It's the European phrase for what I'm talking about. GPDR, I don't know what it stands for. But here's how I secure your data. Or here's how it's not going. The Europe one is all about you're in Europe. I don't want you sending my data to the U.S. Okay, that's what that one. But it still talks about all the security techniques. All right. Question.
VPN. Do you recommend you can purchase these VPNs? They're not that expensive.
So what's the goal? What a VPN is virtual private network. So let me give you an example. Make sure we understand what we're talking about. I have my work laptop. Yesterday was a work day for me. We travel. You said these are 4 days, right? 2 days on site, 1 day of travel, 1 day home. Those are work days for me. I take 2 days of vacation for the on-site meeting and for this, but the day before and after, those are work days. So I'm traveling I'm working while I'm traveling. So I'm VPN'd into my. I always, if you have a VPN, especially in a hotel, I get on the Wi-Fi, immediately VPN. The VPN is encrypting everything coming to and from my laptop, even if it's not browser traffic, okay? So you probably don't have a VPN at your institution. You probably don't need one. But it will secure everything coming and going to your laptop. I don't recommend these third-party free VPNs. Those are all about, I want to watch a movie that's blacked out in my region. Or I want to watch the Braves, but it's blacked out and I don't have access to Bally's. That's what those things are for, and a lot of nefarious things too. However, the Explorer, or is it called Explorer now? Microsoft, the browser. Edge, that's what it's called. I use Safari, but Edge has a VPN built into it now. So you can, I haven't used it, but it has, if you're using Microsoft Edge, there's a VPN option in it now. I would use that if I had to. I don't think the third-party VPNs are trustworthy.
Well, you see, like Google One has one.
Well,
there's Nord.
I would trust Google One or Norton. Wow.
Nord.
VPN you recommend?
I would use the one that's built into Explorer or Edge.
What if you don't use Edge?
Okay, then the Google one. I use my company one. Y'all don't have. I'd be real careful about the VPN. Just downloading some VPN software and running it, I would be really careful about that. I haven't looked into the VPNs too much because I've always had a VPN because of the business. I've been on VPNs working remotely since '93. Okay, I never lived, only until the last 3 or 4 years did I live in the city where my boss lived. So I've been working remotely since '93. Question. Norton's fine. Norton's fine. Yeah, because it's well branded. Although it has been exchanged hands a few times. It's been bought and sold. If the ownership ever went to Moscow or China or Eastern, they call it Central Europe. I call it Eastern Europe. Yeah, I would can that. Question.
Do you recommend cyber insurance? Is that
Okay.
something you should look into as an organization or as individuals?
Well, I think you should at least investigate it. I don't know the prices that would come into play for your organization, and I don't know the risk. I'll be honest, I don't know the risks that you incur by not having it. Now, people would love to sell it to you, believe me. And just like any insurance, they're going to max you out on it. So you have to be careful. My company has cyber insurance, of course, because we're in the business, and we do have, I have policy control over multiple data centers that I don't own. They're our clients. So we have cyber insurance. But you should actually look into it. I don't know, tell you how much to spend or what, I'll tell you that SOC 2 compliance is what drops the price. So they'll start telling you, are you compliant with this, if they're compliant with that, and all the prices change, and you get reductions when you have those compliances. So, any other questions?
You might just remind everybody that's one of the standards, having risk management.
Yeah, oh yeah, risk, and that's actually kind of what brought this up. There's a risk. It's just a two-word phrase, risk management, in one of the standards. Boy, that's a rabbit hole right there. So, but this falls into that category. Well, thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free. You've got my email. If you send it to the COA member 5, I'll get it. Or if you send it to dana@blairhome.com. I don't have any place. There's no chalkboards in here. I thought this was is this right with your finger?
There's a pen on the side.
You can't use your finger, right? You got to use a pen.
That's the highlighter side.
Oh, it's okay. All right. Dana that should be an @. I don't know why I did that. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll be around tomorrow too.
Great, well, thank you, Dana.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings up our next presentation, which is Dr. James. So,
Does he need this?
Yes.
yes, he does.
I'll leave it up here then. You want my tea?
I was in Argentina